everybody, welcome to JoJo's Corner. Today I'm so excited to bring you guys another book review. This is for a fiction book, and it's actually a set of short stories, sort of a compilation that 4 authors have written. The book is called A Bride for All Seasons, and it's part of the Mail Order Bride collection. It's written by Margaret Brownlee, Deborah Clopton, Mary Keneally, and Robin Lee Hatcher. Let me tell you a little bit about each of the stories in this book. In the first story, And Then Came Spring by Margaret Brownlee, we meet character Mary Jo. She's traveled halfway across the country to meet her perfect match. But when she gets, to her destination, she is frustrated because the guy's not there. He's not there to meet her. He's not there to greet her. Like, where is he? And she runs into this kid who is basically like, oh, that's my dad, which she didn't know that he even had a child. So things are off to a rocky start for Mary Jo, and she, runs over to the church and bursts through the doors because that's where he's at. But little did she know she was crashing the guy's funeral. That's right, he's dead. And from there she meets his brother, who is the sheriff, and they sort of do not, they don't make nice from the beginning. They sort of butt heads, and she's really frustrated and she just wants to go home. But the story takes on a different turn. In An Ever After Summer by Deborah Clopton, we meet main character Ellie. She too is answering an ad in this catalog, and she sort of does this. Her aunt sort of gives her an ultimatum, like, choose a husband and get out of my house, because I can't be raising you anymore, or whatever. Her aunt is not a very nice person from what we gather in the story. So she answers the call to this guy named Matthew, and they discover that they're not what each other expected. For instance, like in his ad, he put that he did not, if you're a Bible believer, don't even bother answering this ad. And she shows up fresh off the train with a Bible in her hand, or clutching a Bible to her chest. And he is like, oh boy. But he has a little girl, and Ellie is just determined to be this girl's mother and to make this work. But Matthew is so stubborn, and yeah. There's Autumn's Angel by Robin Lee Hatcher, where main character Lavina has children, and this one's a little different. The woman has children, and she's going to meet this guy Clay, and that just dynamic is so overwhelming and not what he expected. And I love that about all of these stories, that the characters are not what each other expected at all, and due to, well, I'll get into that later. Finally, there's Winter Wedding Bells by Mary Keneally, where one of the main characters, David, is actually, he has an illness, he's dying. He's looking for a woman to take care of his children after he's gone. And so you can tell that this last story is totally filled with emotion. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys. I don't want to spoil these stories because you have to experience them for yourself. Yeah. So let me tell you a few reasons I'm totally loving A Bride for All Seasons. First off, I would have to say is there is a central character that connects all of these stories together, and that is Mr. Melvin Hitchcock. And Mr. Melvin Hitchcock believes that he is like Cupid to the world because he is taking these ads in his catalog. He wants the catalog to be a success. He wants, to be able to say, we made all these matches. Does that sound familiar? It sounds kind of like one of those dating websites they have today. Yeah. So he wants there to be all this success. So he tweaks the ads just a little, in his eyes, just a little, but really a lot to the characters, because as these characters meet, they are not at all what each other expected, as I said earlier. Some of the ways that he changes the letters are absolutely hilarious. And there's even in here one other thing that I absolutely loved. There's a glossary in here of mail order bride advertising terms and what they really mean. For example, a modest dowry means she's poor as a church mouse. Loving nature means keep her away from the ranch hands. Eager to learn means can't cook, can't sew, can't clean. Yeah, so that was hilarious. I love that little glossary, and I think it was funny because that was totally the way Hitchcock changed the ads, and just it added to the funness and funniness of this book. Another reason I love this book is like the romance and the humor. Absolutely. I think to me what makes a good romance story, I love a romance story where the characters are not well suited to one another. It's almost that Beauty and the Beast type of story, or just where they're opposites, or where they're it almost seems like it's not going to work out, you know, because they're so different, or they have different ideals, or they have different beliefs, or they're just on two separate pages. But to see the love story progress and to see these characters coming together, it's just wonderful. I love stories like that, and if you like stories like that, then totally check out A Bride for All Seasons, because I think you will adore it. Another thing I love about this book is you get a chance to sample 4 authors, and you don't really have to commit to like a full-length novel. Each of these stories are around 100 pages each, so you get a chance to see the writing style and the personality of these authors in the story, and without having to commit to you know, a lot of time or a lot of reading. And so I've definitely found tons of favorite authors through reading compilations like this, and I cannot wait, now that I've read these authors, I can't wait to check out even more of their writings. And so that's what's great about this book, is you can sample without having to fully commit. And I have to just say kudos to the authors for absolutely writing amazing stories in 100 pages or less. I think, you know, a lot of times as readers we think maybe it would be hard to have to write so much, like a 400, 500 page novel. But to me, it's almost like it would seem harder to write something that has a complete story in such a short amount of time, but still have characters that are so vivid and so real and so colorful, and places and situations, and just grab the reader's emotions in 100 pages or less. I mean, that takes talent, and that is exactly what these authors have done. I highly recommend this book. I give A Bride for All Seasons 5 out of 5 stars. This book also includes a discussion questions for each of the stories, as well as a sort of like an author interview with the authors at the end of the book that's really interesting and gives you insight into these stories and how they came about. This has been my review of A Bride for All Seasons. From JoJo's Corner, until next time, happy reading. Bye everybody.